I'm now going to go ahead and create a data-driven test case in Cucumber. And to do that, I will go into the lab under Form Fill, where you have an example Cucumber specification that uses the scenario outline keyword with the example data. So we're going to go ahead and copy this and then paste this straight into the new feature. What you have now is a feature pointing to a single scenario, and you can see the data here under the data tab. We're going to go ahead and do what we did before. We're going to create a very simple new test for the first thing, and here we're going to create a new module called form. After we created the form, we're going to say clear form, but we won't do anything complicated in this test, okay? For this entry URL, we're going to look at form fill. What's the entry URL? It's form fill. And we're going to use always reload for the given condition. Here, we're not going to do anything. We leave it empty as is. It's just going to reload the page. Then, we're going to go ahead and create a new test for entering the user. So we're going to use the form module and simply do add user or fill form, doesn't matter, but we're going to call it add user in this case. And we're going to use the form fill URL and the never reload policy. After we've done that, instead of doing a validation, we're just going to leave this empty as well. So I'm not going to create a validation here. So I'm just going to create an empty validation test in the form, say validate user added. We'll save the validation as an exercise for you to work on. Now for the data-driven part. As you know, Boozang is by default data-driven. So what we're going to do is we're just going to fill out the form here. And I'm going to use the tab key while filling out the form, which is usually very good when you switch between the inputs when you do test automation in order to avoid side effects. And then I'm going to hit the save to DB. So I add the user to the database. And as you can see, the user has now been added here under show users. As you can see under test setting, you see that we have the first name, the last name, the email, and the password already broken out as data. So what we will do is we're going to use the back key, and now we're going to map this data into the data we just filled. So what you want to do here is you want to use the little magic wand, and then here you can see that we're going to have, if I enter any of these, I'm going to have a suggestion for, we're going to do one thing, we're just going to reload this page, because sometimes if you don't get the right behavior, simply reload the page. What we're going to do here, we're going to see that we have all these data from this data that we saw here before to choose from, right? And what you want to do is probably you want to map the first column, first name to first name, last name to last name, email to email, and password to password. And of course you can do that manually in the action setting here, very simply, or you can actually use the auto map functionality. So because we've used similar wording, we've actually managed to map the different things in our data. And as you can see, now you can see how in the call, we send the first name as the loop first name, the last name as the loop last name, which is basically every row of the CSV file. So if I play this now, it's going to ask if we want to run which iteration we want to run, or if we want to run all of them. I'm going to go ahead and run all of them. So what you're going to see is how simple it is to have a set of data, create a test step in Boozang, and basically create a data-driven test in Boozang. So what we do, we really specialize in making sure that you can create very reusable tests and very easily send data from upstream tests downstream. So you can see how easy and quick it is to create a powerful test case.